Yes, sir.
What's going on, sir?
Hey, man, I'm sorry. We're just
Testing.
Yes, sir, we were.
Like I said, I'm gonna give you a warning. All right.
Thank you.
Hey guys, that first clip is from our shenanigans video, and at that point I decided, hey, it would be a great idea to make this video. Now the first thing to not getting a ticket from speeding is just don't speed. But if you're like me, it's just one of those things that you find yourself doing.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Fasterproms YouTube channel. If you guys are new to the channel, I'm a GM tuner, and I've been doing some tuning for over 20 years, and what that requires is we build cars, we test them, and oftentimes I'm testing them on streets to indicate the real load of what the car is going to do in the real world. And many times that's resulted in me getting pulled over. Somewhere in the neighborhood of between 32 to 35 times. I kind of lost count about after that. Now, of those times, I've only gotten a ticket about 3 times, so hopefully some of my success on this might rub off on you. So today I've actually talked with 4 officers, and I've gotten a lot of interesting input today. Some of these were just kind of naturally innate for me, but some of these might help you understand what an officer is experiencing as he might be addressing an unknown person in a completely unusual situation. And hopefully a couple of these tips will allow you to diffuse a situation that is otherwise typically a pretty stressful one. Alright, so the officers that I spoke with today, all of them, the number one thing is to be respectful, polite, kind. It's pretty easy to understand that kindness turns away wrath, and people that have a position of authority over you, it's really not a good idea to kind of piss them off. Please and thank you, and sir, ma'am, go a long way. A couple of the officers say, typically one of the number one things that really sets me off is usually some sort of smart answer really is what starts things going in the wrong direction. However, that leads us to the next one. So number 2 would be just be honest. There's no excuse that you could possibly give one of these officers that they haven't heard before. Pretty much, they've heard it all. Like you had to go to the bathroom. Well, you just passed a little quickie mart. Obviously could have gone right there. Honesty and owning up to whatever you might have done is probably one of the next best things that you could possibly do. And if it's not speeding or something else, it's best to just fess up and tell the truth. Many of the times that I've been pulled over, I've been going way beyond the speed limit, and when the red and blue lights had come on and I'd get pulled over, I would just tell the truth. Basically, I was definitely speeding. I was just testing something. I just got a car that I pulled off the dyno. While that is, all totally true, most cops seem to be kind of gearheads in one fashion or another. Now, there's a number of times that I've really been well beyond double the speed limit, and I most certainly could have made it to jail. Honesty is the best policy. I remember a couple times I've been on some country roads going 120 miles an hour in what would otherwise be a 45 mile an hour road. And once I saw the red and blue lights turn on, I was like, uh-oh. So I just pulled over, got my documentation out, just let them know, hey, look, I'm sorry. I thought I was in a safe place to do something like this, and I was not trying to endanger anybody. I literally just wanted to show the gentleman here what the car could do, and they let me off. It's like, wow, that's a pretty cool car. It's like, yeah, thanks.
Number 3 is being accountable.
And as far as being accountable, that's just admitting that you're wrong. Quite often, nobody's making you speed. No one made you go through that stop sign or anything like that. You did it. When you admit to something like that, oftentimes it's disarming. It comes back to number 2, just being honest. The next one is having all of your documents. Having all your documentation is a big one. If the authorities can verify you are who you are, you don't have any outstanding warrants or anything like that, it puts them at ease. And that definitely helps them do their job. These guys do have a lot of stress in what they do, and assuring that they're not dealing with a violent person definitely helps them do their job at ease. Which leads us to the next one here. Being able to put the officer at ease is a large one. That's one that we hit on time and time again with multiple people that I spoke with here. You've got to understand that these officers are putting themselves in a situation where they could have their life on the line. They have no idea who's in the car or anything like that. Being able to show your hands and be able to put them, outside the car or leave them on the steering wheel. If you had some tinted windows, roll all the windows down so that they can see that you have nothing to hide. Now, oftentimes these officers can be approaching a vehicle with a armed and potentially dangerous person or persons. And that also brings us to the fact that on kind of one of those subcategories is that multiple people in the vehicle, where they especially cannot see what they have, does raise a little bit of alertness.
So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this much information so far. I hope this is very helpful. If you think that would be helpful for you or you just enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe. It definitely helps our channel grow. Also, the next best way to help support us is through our merch, so check out some of that stuff right here. We got a bunch of different new things out. We got these hats right here, which have the American flag underneath the bill. And we have our camo hat, which has camo underneath the bill as well. Also, we got our Adapt and Overcome shirt because it is such an awesome idea because it's not just automotive related. We definitely want to use that sentiment for just about anything and everything that we face. And also, Uncle Sam, the money shot right there for when we were doing our burnout contest. And we're doing 500 signed 20 by 30 posters, of which you guys can pre-order now. Those should ship out in roughly about 2 weeks. So check out the link in the description below under fasterpromstore.com. Thank you guys so very much for your support, and we definitely could not do all the dumb stuff we do without you guys. Now, as we go on, I had a retired officer come in on extremely short notice, and he was very helpful. He touched on some of those other points and kind of broke them down a little bit more in depth.
All right, guys, today I've got for you retired Officer Brian Sims. I've actually known Brian for, geez, dude, it's been like
20 years.
It is about 20 years.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, so you can shed some light on some of this from many years of first-hand experience. How long now?
I came on in 1990, retired in 2018. You know, I was a lot of places, but I did a lot of traffic enforcement. And I just want to touch on some things to make it a safe experience for the passenger and the officer.
So you and I had a conversation a little bit earlier, you know, being polite.
For me, a barometer for me was the first thing out of the person's mouth. They stopped you for a reason, polite. I have my documents ready, driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. And also, as we have more guns now, if you have a carry concealed permit, I'd have that ready too. Me personally, if I have a gun in the car, I put my hands out the window, my fingers spread apart, because that lets the officer know that there's going to be a weapon in the car.
Yeah.
And then I can go on to explain that when he or she gets to the window. A lot less tense for both sides, you know, knowing that there's a gun and we're just going to deal with that issue.
Let's just say that you had pulled somebody over. What is one of the things that absolutely is going to set you off?
If they come at me like completely hostile, you know, curse at me, what the F did you stop me for, and just start attacking me personally, okay, now we're going to go into how many do you get? Not if, but how many do you get? And sometimes you have people say, oh, you're profiling me. Well, if I shot you with laser at 980 feet, I don't know what color you are. And the officer may ask you, do you know what I stopped you for? You know what you were doing. Just give them an answer, especially if it's something really egregious. And I'll say this, the thing that gets law enforcement attention is that weaving, not signaling lane change, and tailgating. That is what gets attention.
So pretty much like 70% BMW owners, right?
Yes, most definitely. Just be honest. I said, I've been stopped and I'm honest. It's like, this is what I think you probably stopped me for. With me, it's speeding. If there's only one thing I'm gonna do, it's speeding. If there are multiple people in the car, then that adds, you know, some tension because it's hard to pay attention to everybody. There's 2 times in 28 years did someone try to kill me, and it was on traffic stops. Both times they had their hand on a gun in the console, ready to come out the window and shoot me. So I have to understand, from the policeman's standpoint, they're dangerous.
All right, another thing that you must understand is that if you're more in an urban environment, most likely these officers are probably going to have body cams. In essence, though, the body cams keep an honest man honest, and it's, I think, good for both parties because eventually the truth will come out.
And Jeremy's built cars for me since like 2002. And another thing, being polite, it can help you from getting those secondary non-moving violations, such as having below the AS1 line, having a banner, Fasterproms, on your windshield.
By the way, you can get that at the Fasterproms store.
You know, having 18 streets from Mickey Thompson's where, you know, it may have one tread that started off 3/8 of an inch, 200 miles later that's gone. Non-moving violations, you know, it varies, but $116 each.
Oh, geez. If somebody was really rubbed you the wrong way, you could just nitpick it if the officer...
If the officer was knowledgeable of Florida state statute that altered exhaust that made your car louder, slicks, window banners, anything like that, I've gone up to 6 non-movers on one stop.
He must have really rubbed you the wrong way.
Well, I figure if you got money for crack, you got money for tickets. You know, sometimes you just get a verbal warning and say goodbye. That's all it has to be.
All right, so here in Florida, we have I believe it's a 3-step law about a concealed carry. So shine a little light on that for us, if you would, sir.
3 absolute complete steps. And with different types of guns, there's different steps. For the average person, like say carrying a semi-auto gun, you get your gun, you load the gun, you charge the gun, you're ready to go. And we know in these times that safety in your vehicle is now paramount.
Yes, sir. We were talking about, hey, if it was in your glove box or something like that, that would be, you know, one step. So grabbing for it would be one, unlocking the glove box and then cocking it, that would be all 3 steps there.
Yeah, because anytime you have to take an action to get to use the gun, that in itself is a quote, a step.
Gotcha.
And again, some people try to, you know, use interpretation, but obviously if I have to unlock it, that's 1. To open it is 2. To get the gun is 3. To rack it is 4. And, you know, at that point, you're well within the guidelines. However, you have to be able to use the gun quickly or it doesn't do you any good.
Yeah.
You know, if you get pulled out of your car with a gun in your glove box, that doesn't work for you.
I wanted to say thank you very much for coming in on virtually little to no notice. So this was pretty awesome to be able to get somebody that has been there and done that. Again, thank you very much, sir. Greatly appreciate it.
Hey, we go way back. I'm happy to do it, man.
Now, if none of this works and you're still getting a ticket regardless, I've had a lot of buddies have great success with a traffic ticket lawyer. The last few months, I've been leaving you guys with a few proverbs and some songs. The song is going to be I Can't Drive 55 by Van Halen. I mean, it perfectly fits this episode. All right, and the proverb, starve your fear, feed your faith. And one more is that we're not in this alone, we're all in this together. There's always help out there, whether we see it or not. Hey, we got a ton of stuff coming up this next week. We've got a 2020 Silverado that is just an awesome build. And Laz's truck, we've been taking Laz's truck to the track, and that thing keeps getting faster. He keeps handing out beatdowns left and right. It is awesome to see. And then Cater Tot finally makes an A to B. This thing is super sketchy. Well, God bless you guys. We'll see you next episode.
Too close for comfort, boys. Back up.